in your case of attempted first-degree murder and or throwing a deadly missile?
If I did not have a hidden camera on me that day, Judge Jordan would not have been indicted.
Incredible footage has emerged from a sentencing hearing in Outagamie County Court, where Mastella Jackson was sentenced to life in prison for fatally stabbing her husband, Derek Whitlow, nearly 5 years ago. During the hearing, a dramatic moment occurred when one of the victim's family members attempted to attack Jackson in the courtroom.
Clear the courtroom now! Everybody out! Everybody out!
Emotions ran high as Mastella Jackson, convicted of murdering her husband Derek Whitlow nearly 5 years ago, was sentenced to life in prison. During the court hearing, Whitlow's brother, James, suddenly lunged from his seat, attempting to attack Jackson. The situation escalated quickly, with several people needing to restrain him. The intensity of the moment led the judge to order everyone to leave the courtroom.
Clear the courtroom now! Everybody out! Everybody out!
It wasn't just the screaming that filled the room. Tears were also flowing as emotions overwhelmed those in attendance.
Snoop, as we call him, was like a brother to me.
Family and friends expressed their deep frustration and anger toward their loved one's killer. Whitlow's sister-in-law, who has since taken in his 2 sons, shared her pain and grief during the hearing, giving a voice to the family's immense loss.
She doesn't deserve to be able to be free. They didn't get a chance to fight back. Her children didn't get a chance to fight back, and so she shouldn't have that chance.
Jackson pleaded with the judge for leniency, asking for a lighter sentence for the sake of her children.
I don't have a strong support system for the family and stuff like that. There's just no one there. And my children are all I have.
She asked the judge for one last chance, hoping for mercy despite the gravity of her crime.
Will the court please have mercy on me and grant me a parole, grant me an opportunity at parole so that I can be there with my children.
But the judge stood firm, denying her request and delivering the life sentence without leniency.
Life in prison.
Mastella Jackson will be eligible for parole after serving 35 years, starting from the date of the murder in February 2012. A Miami-Dade Circuit Court judge had strong words for the woman involved in the wild attack on the MacArthur Causeway. After reviewing the details of the case, the judge determined there was probable cause for the charges and ordered the defendant to stay away from the victims.
Ma'am, you were arrested for 2 counts of attempted aggravated battery and 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
26-year-old Acklin Biamugisha appeared before the judge after a viral video surfaced. Footage of Biamugisha chasing Freddy Diaz and his father with a screwdriver and attacking the father was captured. The incident occurred after Diaz's son hit her car earlier on the MacArthur Causeway.
The video is pretty wild if your honor wants to see it.
The judge mentioned that she had reviewed the story to see the images from the incident. She had been informed about what transpired and took those details into account.
Judge, according to the arrest form, it appears that Mr. Diaz's father began threatening her and grabbing her and pulling her hair, and that's how the incident escalated.
The Florida Highway Patrol reported that Acklin Biamugisha approached the father's car, grabbed a screwdriver, and sprayed them with a Windex bottle. At one point, Freddy Diaz was knocked to the ground, and Biamugisha was on top of him before another man wearing a blue shirt intervened and pulled her away.
You're ordered to stay away from Freddy Diaz, the alleged victim. No contact with the victim, either directly, indirectly, in person, writing, by telephone, or through third parties. And stay at least 500 feet away from the victim, his home, school, and place of employment.
Judge Glazer expressed her concerns regarding the incident, likely considering the aggressive behavior displayed in the viral video and the serious nature of the actions involved.
In the future, if you're driving, if you're ever involved in a car accident, it's probably best to just call the police and remain in your vehicle so you avoid having to come to criminal court. for these types of allegations.
Aklin Biamugisha is being held on a $7,000 bond and has been assigned a public defender. When contacted, the public defender's office declined to comment. Her release from jail is still pending. A Harris County judge, Darrell Jordan, has been charged with official oppression in connection with an incident involving former TV investigative journalist Wayne Dolcefino. Dolcefino, a veteran journalist, expressed feelings of vindication and is now urging the state agency responsible for investigating judicial misconduct to take disciplinary action against Judge Jordan.
First, I'm glad the record's been set clear.
Former investigative TV journalist Wayne Dolcefino reacted to a grand jury's decision to indict Harris County Judge Darrell Jordan for official oppression. The charges stem from an incident when Judge Jordan held Dolcefino in contempt of court and had him jailed, accusing Dolcefino of interrupting proceedings. Jordan claimed that Dolcefino had demanded an interview with him during the court session.
You want to hold me in contempt for simply asking questions? Go ahead.
A new video later surfaced, recorded by Wayne Dolcefino using a pen camera during the incident. The footage revealed that the confrontation lasted only 2 minutes, with Dolcefino simply asking why his request for documents had not been acknowledged.
If I did not have a hidden camera on me that day, Judge Jordan would not have been indicted. No one would have been able to sort of argue about the violation of my rights that day.
Dolcefino claims that he believes Judge Jordan sentenced him to 3 days in jail as retaliation for his investigation into a county commissioner and his wife. He also suggested that the judge wanted to make a spectacle out of the situation.
Interrupting court. Either you leave or I'm going to hold you in direct contempt.
Well, then, Judge, you do what you got to do.
Attorney Brian Weezy, who represented Dolcefino in his appeal, is speaking in his role as Dolcefino's attorney and not as a legal analyst.
The Court of Criminal Appeals, one of the nation's most conservative criminal courts, held unanimously that this was payback and legally indefensible. Yesterday, a Harris County grand jury concluded that it was criminal as well.
Dolcefino is calling for Judge Jordan to resign and urging the Judicial Conduct Commission to remove him from his position immediately.
It's time for the commission to let the public know that this kind of stuff won't be tolerated.
Judge Jordan declined to comment on the matter and referred all inquiries to his attorney. A former Cleveland police officer is off the hook after being accused of misconduct. Christian Sims claimed that Officer Dennis Meehan assaulted him while he was handcuffed. The video shows the moment Sims was arrested by the Cleveland gang unit, during which he alleges he was roughed up by Meehan.
There was just a lot of unnecessary things going on. Like, I was scared.
Meehan is now facing a judge for his actions during the October 2021 incident. At the time, the officer was on the city's east side investigating reports of individuals with illegal guns. During the encounter, Sims was arrested, and he claims that Officer Meehan used excessive force.
Manipulating someone's arm up to the point of causing them pain after they are cuffed is not consistent with that training.
What the prosecutor doesn't tell you is the individuals that were arrested that day. What she doesn't tell you the number of guns that were taken during this encounter, not only with this young man, with other people that day. And it's absolutely ridiculous.
Meehan's attorney argues that Sims was being uncooperative and difficult for the officers during the arrest.
That time, I put my hands behind my back as far as I could.
But it took a while for them even to get you in a position. We've seen the video. It took a while for them to even get you in a position to put the handcuffs behind you.
Can I ask you a question, sir?
No, you can't. You answer my questions.
Just hours after hearing the evidence, the judge rejected the prosecutor's case, siding with the defense.
All right, I've had an opportunity to hear the evidence. The court will grant the Rule 29. This case is dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
The case was dismissed, and Meehan walked out of the courtroom a free man. A LaSalle University student, Ariel Foster, is accused of running a scam to steal nearly $1 million. Police believe this might not be her first time committing such a crime. Foster appeared in court, and court documents reveal that she was also being investigated for separate but similar fraud cases at LaSalle University. She was arrested at her dorm and later arraigned in court.
Ms. Foster, good morning.
Walking into court, Ariel Foster faced accusations of stealing up to $1 million, a stark contrast to her previous reputation as a track star at LaSalle University.
She won a couple awards for the school. She broke a few records.
Now, the 19-year-old stands before a judge, accused of falsifying transactions at her part-time job at Libby's, a jewelry store in the Burlington Mall.
An item was scanned onto the register, and the item price was altered to heighten the loss. The item would then be refunded onto a credit card.
According to police, a card traced back to Foster was used for extravagant purchases, including a Louis Vuitton bag, plane tickets, a trip to Hawaii, and a Tesla.
Is it surprising to think a student would be able to afford those things?
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be something up.
Court documents reveal how investigators connected dates and locations of purchases to posts on Foster's social media accounts. One post read, "The biggest flex is being able to buy my own Tesla full out under 20 years old," and another under a tropical scene stated, "Maui is where I will retire." According to the documents, campus police had also investigated Foster for similar incidents in the past year, including using fraudulent credit cards to pay for tuition. Police searched her home in Dorchester, where neighbors reported seeing the Tesla parked, and also searched her college dorm.
Her college dorm?
Just the fact that a college student buying a Tesla, fully buying a Tesla, it's a little suspicious.
The police report states that Foster eventually admitted responsibility, saying, "I'm sorry for what I did." She has since been released on a $1,000 bail. Washtenaw County. Judge J. Cedric Simpson was in disbelief when defendant Corey Harris appeared in court via Zoom while driving, despite the judge believing Harris was doing so with a suspended driver's license.
Court calls case People versus Corey Harris.
On behalf of Pittsfield Township.
Assistant Public Defender Natalie Tate for Mr. Harris, who should be present via Zoom.
Mr. Harris, are you driving?
Actually, I'm pulling into my doctor's office, actually. So just give me 1 second. I'm parking right now.
You stationary?
I'm pulling in right now at this second. Yes, I am.
All right. What are we doing?
Your Honor, we are respectfully requesting an adjournment in this matter, up possibly 2 to 4 weeks if the court would allow.
Okay. So maybe I don't understand something. This is a driving while license suspended?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And he was just driving. And he didn't have a license.
That is with the charges, Your Honor, yes.
No, I'm looking at his record. He doesn't have a license. He's suspended and he's just driving.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Hello?
1 minute, Mr. Harris.
I don't even know why he would do that. So defendant's bond is revoked in this matter. Defendant is to turn himself into the Washtenaw County Jail by 6 p.m. today. Failure to turn himself in will result in a bench warrant with no bond. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Harris, I'll be giving you a call.
Okay.
Court calls the case People versus Maya Isom.
Cameron Silver on behalf of Pittsfield Township.
Assistant Public Defender Natalie Tate for Mr.
According to Michigan's Department of State, Corey Harris, 44, was arrested for driving with a suspended license. The incident, captured during a court hearing on Zoom, quickly gained attention on social media. A man from Homestead is in custody, accused of a sexual attack on a teen girl. Police say the teenager was walking to school when the suspect lured her into his vehicle. Homestead police made the initial arrest after the victim identified the suspect from a lineup of pictures. He was then taken to jail.
Miguel Rodriguez.
30-year-old Michael Rodriguez appeared in bond court, facing charges related to inappropriate conduct involving a minor.
You were arrested for serious charges, so I'll appoint the public defender's office for you.
According to court documents, this case involves a man who lured a young girl into his car, something police frequently warn the public about. While driving, Michael Rodriguez reportedly engaged in inappropriate behavior before taking the teen to a remote area south and west of Homestead, where the crime occurred. Rodriguez, who has prior convictions for armed robbery and battery, now faces even more serious charges.
Count 1, it's a $7,500 bond. In count 2, it's a $100,000 bond, and I'm adding plus house arrest.
Count 2 of the charges states that Michael Rodriguez forced the victim into intercourse. The public defender attempted to lower his bail, but the request was denied.
I'm concerned about the safety of children in our community, given the fact that this young girl was taking a ride from him and was later attacked. So I'm concerned, and I think a higher bond will ensure the safety of our children in the community. Good day to you, sir.
Michael Rodriguez did not post bond and remains in jail. In her final words, Judge Sylvia James stated, "The charges are outrageous and ridiculous, as are many other claims against me." This declaration came during her last appearance on the stand in her defense and sums up her assertion of innocence in response to the 192-page complaint filed by the Judicial Tenure Commission. The 4 charges against her, including the misappropriation of court funds, outline a lengthy list of financial, employment, and administrative violations that negatively impacted both the public and the administration of justice.
This search warrant has to do with bank records.
Her lawyers attempted to discredit the nearly 24 witnesses who testified against her, including former Inkster City Treasurer David Sabuda. On the witness stand, Sabuda made it clear that he had informed Judge James 7 years earlier that her practice of writing checks to charities and community groups without city council approval was a violation of both court system rules and state treasury regulations.
Requests to make payment to those types of nonprofit entities are not allowable.
Judge Sylvia James chose to move over $552,000 from the Community Service Program accounts without city approval, another violation of state court rules, and used the funds to write checks to various organizations at her discretion. She defended her controversial dress code policy, which barred individuals wearing jeans from entering the court, by claiming that her security officers had misinterpreted it. However, testimony from an Inkster police officer revealed that Judge James had halted court proceedings, including arraignments, when officers and others appeared wearing jeans, forcing them to leave. In addition to these issues, the Judicial Tenure Commission complaint pointed to another major violation: the handling of arrest warrants. Approximately 15,000 blue folders containing arrest warrants that legally required the judge's signature were piled in file cabinets at the 22nd District Court. Instead of signing the warrants herself, Judge James assigned this task to her longtime magistrate, Jeff Bodege, who signed the warrants in her place for years. When Judge James was replaced by interim Chief Judge Val Washington, he testified that for months he signed many of those 15,000 warrants to make them legally valid. While many in the Inkster community came to support Judge James during the 6-week hearing, the only opinion that truly matters now is that of the court.
I know that as we've gone along with the testimony,
the special master in this case is retired Judge Ann Matson, who has spent weeks hearing the evidence and arguments. Now that the proceedings have concluded, her findings will be submitted to the full Judicial Tenure Commission for review and further action. In a breaking scandal at Tampa Police Department, Chief Jane Castor just held a news conference announcing the termination of 2 officers, one of whom is now facing criminal charges. Chief Castor expressed deep disappointment, referring to the situation as a staggering betrayal. The first officer involved is Sergeant Ray Fernandez, the former DUI supervisor at TPD, who has been in the spotlight due to his involvement in the high-profile DUI arrest of attorney Phil Campbell. Chief Castor explained that sufficient evidence has surfaced, proving that Fernandez lost his impartiality and allowed a friend to misuse his authority. As a result, Fernandez was fired. The second case involves Detective Jeanette Havel, a former Officer of the Year, who was recently arrested on grand theft charges. According to Chief Castor, Havel was caught by the IRS for allegedly stealing $19,000 in IRS money orders from TPD's evidence room in 2011.
The facts speak loud and clear, and it is my job as the chief to ensure that we police ourselves and maintain the highest level of integrity, and that is exactly what I've done today.
Both officers were officially terminated, and Havel has been taken to the Hillsborough County Jail on grand theft charges. A former nurse, Nathan Sutherland, has been sentenced to 10 years in prison after pleading guilty to abuse, and vulnerable adult abuse. Sutherland impregnated an incapacitated woman who had been a patient at Hacienda Healthcare in Arizona for 26 years following a near-drowning incident at the age of 3. The facility stated that no one realized she was pregnant until she gave birth to a healthy baby boy in 2018. DNA tests conducted on staff members confirmed Sutherland as the father. Hacienda Healthcare cooperated fully with authorities and released a statement expressing sympathy for the victim and her family, hoping the sentencing would bring them peace. The victim is no longer at the facility. Police arrested a man accused of kidnapping and brutally beating his elderly mother. Investigators say Jerome Klein, a 59-year-old Miami Beach resident, assaulted his 81-year-old mother for hours, at one point threatening to kill her. The incident reportedly stemmed from his anger over her refusal to remove his 2 brothers from her will. Klein now faces charges of kidnapping and aggravated battery on a person over 65. Judge Glazer recused herself from the case due to her personal connection with the victim.
I didn't know, and then I saw the name, so I know who it is and the address, because I walk her home after services sometimes. Can you go find a judge for me, please, if they can come do this bond hearing now?
Are we gonna pass and go on, Yana?
If we could. Yeah, let's just pass it. I mean, I have some words I'd like to say to him, but I don't think it's right, and that's why I'm gonna get another judge, other than reading the stay-away order.
Klein will not be granted a bond and will remain in jail. A stay-away order has been issued, applying to his 2 brothers and his mother, who expressed fear due to his possession of guns and the threats he has made. 2 teens have been charged in connection with a shooting that injured a girl. A Duval County judge has denied them bail.
Caden Tootin. Hello, Ms. Tootin.
Hey.
You were arrested on a bond from Tatiana Salvador, so she has already found probable cause. Bond has been set at none in your case of attempted first-degree murder and or throwing a deadly missile. Judge Salvador's case will be August. Will that be August the 15th? All right. Your next court date will be August the 15th. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. The public defender will be in touch.
Your Honor, with regard to count 2.
Yes. I'll set bond on the second count at $10,003.
Yes, Your Honor. And Mr. Tutton, stay off the telephones.
All right.
All right. Next one is Rashawn Nakendall Jackson. All right, Mr. Jackson, this was a warrant from Judge Borrello. He's already found probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Judge Borrello has set bond in the attempted first-degree murder at none. On the shooting or throwing a deadly missile, I'll set that bond at $10,003. And your next court date will be August the 15th. The public defender will be in touch, sir.
Stay off the phones, Mr. Jackson.
Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters announced that Caden Tootin and Nakendall Jackson had been arrested in connection with a shooting that injured a girl. In December 2015, Zachariah Hussein was brutally killed, and 4 others were injured during a robbery attempt in Akron. Shaquille Anderson is facing justice in court for this heinous crime. As the victims' relatives continue to grapple with their grief, they are dedicated to honoring Zachariah and seeking justice for him, hoping to bring peace to his soul.
My name is Sinad Ayad. My last name is spelled A-Y-A-D.
And how did you know Zach?
Zach was my uncle's son, which would be from my mom's brother.
So your cousin, basically.
Yeah. I'm the guy that walked in the circle with you, remember? That guy told you Zach was my cousin? If I wanted to do something to you, I could have did something to you a long time ago. I don't know why you're looking weird, like, you know what I mean? I forget it, just like I told you, I forget it. even if you did it or not, I forget. But let me tell you something. You don't know what's coming for you. You don't know what's coming. All is here. Good. But only God does this. And that's what I'm waiting on. Just let me tell you, good luck on that new job. Thank you.
Yeah, Zach was my little cousin. My name is Syed Ayad. You didn't just take my cousin, you took my favorite cousin from me. One of my favorite cousins. That shit bothers me every day. I'll never forgive you till the day I die. I will never forgive you. My brother might forgive you, but me, I don't forgive. You took a part of me.
My name is Michael Hussein. Last name is spelled H-U-S-A-I-N. Zach was my nephew. The tragedy and the hurt that you caused my family is unimaginable. You took someone that was very special, had bright, shining light. And I just want you to know that I hope that God forgives you for what you did. Or what you did is unspeakable. Thank you.
My name is Muhammad Hussein, H-U-S-E-I-N. Zach was my older brother, and I'm the youngest of all my family. He was my role model. He was always there with me. He influenced a lot of things in my life. He was my hero. His murder was an act of cowardice. He complied and you still told him, you're nothing but a coward. I can't even speak for the amount of pain you've caused, not just me, my mother, my father, and all my siblings, and the rest of my aunts, uncles, and my cousins. I hope you run hell.
You ain't grow up poorer than me. I'm an immigrant. I didn't know how to read, write, or speak English, bro. Neither did I. I was 6 years old when my dad made me a lease. He asked me to translate it for him. I know, less you know, less certain word. You know that? I know, man. So weird. It was never a white boy, man. It was never a black dude. I lived in that gray area. You hear much stuff, man. You didn't think about that. Palestinian. I come from a third world country. We don't have police. We don't have a military. We don't have a hospital. We didn't have a bank out until I went there in 2014 as an adult. We didn't have a bank, we didn't have a clinic. You don't know what it's really like. You ain't have that. You grew up in welfare. How bad could it be? He was richer than everybody in my neighborhood where I came from. First and foremost, I want to thank you for not coming up and making a statement and not apologizing. It means a lot to me. Don't ever apologize. Second, I thank everybody in the Acton Police Department all the way up from the janitor, that guy I saw two of them outside. They were wearing yellow jackets, like construction workers, raincoats in the rain. They out there on their grind and making some money. So it might not be alive, but it's just a start. To the dudes patrolling the streets. Back in August of whatever the year it was when he first got caught, he killed Zach December 7th, 10:50. That's when the first bullet entered his chest, penetrated his spine, instantly paralyzed him. From there, penetrated his pancreas. Of course, I'll take this all with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, only God knows who really did it. Only God knows the spirit that was inside you, who really was you at that time. It would be credit though. You ain't no dummy. You're a very analytical person. You were very, very well prepared. We'll get back to that in a second. We got a lot to go here. And then back to the police department. The officers that caught you right there in the Fifth Avenue Gardens, right in front of my dad. He watched you. That's what that crown did. Who's there? I watched you run across the Delmar. I had two options, my dude. Go after you. I promise you, bro. Good guy. You are who it was. It's not that hard. We'll go to my brother. I'll let you see the video. Don't answer. Go all the way through. The next 30 minutes after that. Holy crap. Man. Imagine that stuff. Like in April 2001, my uncle was murdered. It's hard to say. 15 years ago, my father may have sat in this exact same courtroom on this floor and watched the trial for his brother's murder. Here I am today. Second, I would like to thank Sumter County Courthouse for, everything they do and their collaboration with the police department. It's amazing to see, county and city work together. And, I don't know how familiar you are with civil politics and how things work, but we're a charter county. We make our own rules in this county and in the city. Within the confines of the state, but we do us. You could be part of that. I'm a kid from back, and a kid from back, Ron's a kid from back. Why we have 3 different stories? It's my choice. That's why. The thing is, you don't realize, bro, we live in the most beautiful country to ever exist in the history of humanity. Now, I don't know, maybe it's a little different because you didn't earn it. I earned it. My mom earned it. So I'm a relevant earner. Getting citizenship is that's to earn the right to work and pay taxes, have an opportunity for children to go somewhere in their life. Until Zach was murdered, we had no idea he was on the dean's list. You believe that, bro? You know what a dean's list is? It means he's in the top 1% of the smartest kids in his class. That's common. So I have my life we look at. So while I'm sure you did too, man. Study what you went through in your life, man. Really, you went through some can't imagine. I was really lucky to have mom and dad. And the thing is I felt like I failed when all that went down. I had camera system. I had 16 cameras on my whole shop.
Hi, my name is Hussein, Zach's older sister. It's obvious that you have no remorse. You don't really have empathy for what you've done to other families, and you've taken from the fact that you could even shoot a mother and son while a 9-year-old's there shows where your heart lies. But I want to know too, why did you do it? What did you get out of it? Do you even know, what you took from us? My family would give you anything you wanted to spare his life. More than $300. Whatever you want. Why'd you do it? My son will never have his uncle. My siblings, when they have kids, they will never get to meet him or be a part of his life. Or get to know how amazing he was. You didn't know how beautiful a person he was. You took somebody who was top-notch, A1 quality of a human being from this earth. For $300? You took a brother, an uncle. For what? What did you do it for? You robbed 1,000 places. You didn't kill no one else. Well, then later. But why? Why him? What did he do? And there was people all around him. It's not like, oh, he was a witness. Let me shoot him. You could have shot a person from that side or on that side. Why him? You guys actually went to North at the same time together. I won't forgive you. That's not for me to do. God can forgive you, not me.
Always dignified, always very sad. And of course, I understand how painful this has been for you and how long you have waited to have the opportunity to confront Zach's killer. It probably doesn't bring you much satisfaction because it doesn't return it to you. There's nothing that could do that. Life is gone. And it's clear he was a wonderful person, son, brother, nephew, an outstanding student, obviously very bright. It's always sad to lose any life, especially someone who's chosen to live their life in such a way that most others in society would find it admirable. And those people aren't always the ones that get taken. And when they are, it's a special attraction. And there really aren't any words to explain what happened. I don't even know Mr. Anderson knows why he chose to do this. I actually tried to look up in the dictionary last night some words that were the opposite of the word empathy. What's the opposite of empathy? Empathy is when you feel someone's pain, literally. Someone else hurts, you hurt. What's the opposite of that? When you feel nothing. There really isn't a perfect word that is the opposite of empathy. To feel nothing. Heartless. Cold. Brutal. Callous. None of them seem to permanently fit. And so your sentence is going to reflect the severity of the crime. You are the worst of our society. And as a result, your crime deserves the harshest of penalties. So, I'll sentence you accordingly. As to count 1, aggravated murder, I will sentence you to life without parole. On specification 1 to count 1, I will impose 54 months as the firearm specification. Specification 2 will merge with count 1. Specification 1. And then on specification 3, I will impose 11 additional years. Those will be mandatory. Specification 4 and 5, I will not impose a sentence on those as I've already imposed life without parole. I find that count 2 merges the purpose of sentencing as to all of the specifications, and likewise count 3 merges for sentencing along with all of the specifications. As to count 4, I want to reiterate on this one, this is a count where actually there is an option for post-release control. Obviously, you're going to be serving life without parole, but if for some reason you weren't serving life without parole, I'm just going to remind you real quick that you're specifically charged that if you were to serve that sentence and then be released, the state would have the option of placing you on post-release control for a period up to 3 years, and if during that period of time you violated your post-release control, you were sent back to the penitentiary, potentially from half of the prison sentence. If a new felony would be further sanctioned by that judge, you could terminate the PRC, you could go to 1 year or remainder of your post-release control term, whichever amount of time is greater. And that's a possible maximum sentence of 3 years, non-mandatory time, and I will impose that 3-year sentence. And I will run everything consecutive for a total of life without parole plus 14 years. And you've also already been sentenced on 2 other cases today. I did a little bit more math because I think I added wrong. And my calculations are such that as to the charges related to Christopher and Sonia Freeman, which involved kidnapping and all those specifications, as well as 2 aggravated murders, that I sentenced you to 2 counts of life without parole and a bunch of additional extra time, which ends up added up equaling 68.5 years. As to Christian Dorsey, I sentenced you to life without parole in addition to 15.5 years. And then today, giving you the absolute maximum I can. I'm sentencing you to life without parole with the addition of 14 years, for a total of 98 additional years and 4 consecutive sentences of life without parole.
Shaquille Anderson was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder of Zachariah Hussein and the injuries inflicted on the others during the robbery attempt. On April 21, 2016, 8 members of the Roden family were murdered in Pike County, casting a shadow of terror across Ohio. All eyes are now fixed on George Wagner's court trial. He's a monster, attempting to justify his heinous crime with a calm, melodious voice to save himself.
Let's describe the living situation. When you were very young, we were first there.
Yes.
All right. Which house did you have, or can you describe the house that you were living?
The first house was a single wide trailer.
Single wide trailer. All right. And how long did you live there? Until what age?
Lived in that one. I don't really know how to answer this one because it's like that house was like morphed into another house.
Okay, let's talk about before it was morphed.
97-ish.
Okay, so how old were you about?
From a little into 92, early 93 till 97-ish.
All right, so in 97, you would have been about 6 years old?
Somewhere in there.
All right, what happened when you were 6 years old?
My mother tried to burn the house down. That failed because she didn't know what she was doing in the beginning.
All right, explain.
If there's no air, it smothers out, and she had everything closed up in the beginning. So just the kitchen, living room area burned.
All right, and your mother set that on fire?
She had my father set it on fire, but it was her plan, and she's the one who taught my father how to do it.
All right, and you remember this when you were 6 or 7 years old? And what did you think about that when you were a kid?
Really had no input on it.
Okay, so she tried to burn it, but it didn't completely burn, is that what you're saying?
And my grandmother paid to remodel it because my mother told her it was an accidental fire.
Your mother told your grandmother it was an accidental fire. Which grandmother do we need?
Frederica.
And that's your grandma Wagner? That lives on the flying hill?
Yes.
Okay. So she lied to her so she could get it rebuilt?
The inside redone with new sheetrock.
Okay. And so is that when you say it morphed into a second house?
Then they added another single wide to it and made it kind of like a giant hill.
Okay. And was that in the same location, or
Yes.
was it moved?
It was just added on the same location.
All right. And how long did you live there approximately?
Roughly 2000 before they burnt that one.
All right. And in 2000, you were about 9 years old?
Roughly.
All right. And what do you mean they burned that?
They burned that one down and succeeded with that one.
Who's there?
My father and my mother.
And how did they?
Same method as always. A whole bunch of newspapers stuck underneath the fuse box.
And so, where would you live after it burned?
After that one burned, my grandmother bought my mom and dad a new single wide house trailer.
And where was that placed?
The same spot it was.
On Bethel Hill?
Yes.
All right. So at this point in time, when you're 9 years old approximately, your first 2 homes have been burned by your mom and dad?
Yes.
And so, what happened with this home that you got now?
Stayed in it for about a year before my father extended the driveway and moved it back another half mile.
All right, so let's talk about that for a minute. From Bethel Hill Road back to where your first home was?
Half a mile.
Half a mile. All right, and then when you got this other home after 2 fires, where was that place?
Half a mile further back, made the driveway a mile.
All right, so he extended the driveway back up Bethel Hill?
Yes.
Up the hill, I should say?
Yes.
And so that was the location for your third home?
Yes. Well, it started with the trailer, and then that trailer got morphed.
They got it. What do you mean by that?
Added on to.
All right, explain that.
My father and mother eventually added sides down each side of it and more rooms and turned it into one giant wonder mansion. I called it a Kentucky Wonder Mansion.
All right, describe it the best you can.
If you're looking at what would have been referred to as the front of it, there's a 12-foot wide by 80-foot long add-on room down one side,
and then a 10-foot wide by 80-foot down the other side.
On count one of the indictment for the offense of aggravated murder in violation of section 2903.01A of the revised code, the victim of that offense being Kenneth Roden, the court hereby sentences you to serve a mandatory term of life imprisonment without parole. Upon count two of the indictment, the victim of the offense being Chris Roden Sr., and again, the charge is aggravated murder, and I've given the section number. In fact, all of these first 8 offenses involve the crime of aggravated murder, separate victims in violation of 2903.01A of the revised code. So on count 2, the victim being Chris Roden, the court will sentence you to serve a mandatory term of life imprisonment without parole. On count 3 of the indictment, the victim of the offense of aggravated murder being Gary Roden, the court will also sentence you to serve a mandatory term of life imprisonment without parole. On count 4 of the indictment, for the aggravated murder of Clarence Franklin Roden, the court will sentence you to serve a mandatory term of life imprisonment without parole. On count 5 of the indictment, the victim of the offense being Hannah Hazel Gilley, the crime being aggravated murder, the court will sentence you to serve a mandatory term of life imprisonment without parole. On count 6 of the indictment, for the aggravated murder of Dana Roden, the court will sentence you to serve a mandatory term of life imprisonment without parole. On count 7 of the indictment, for the aggravated murder of Hannah Mae Roden, the court will sentence you to serve a mandatory term of life imprisonment without parole. And on count 8 of the indictment, the victim of the offense being Christopher Roden Jr., for the offense of aggravated murder, the court will sentence you to serve a mandatory term of life imprisonment without parole. On count 9 of the indictment, the offense there that you were found guilty of is conspiracy, a first-degree felony in violation of section 2923.01A1 and A2 and 2923.01J1. The court will sentence you to serve a definite term of 8 years in prison. On count 10, for the offense of aggravated burglary, and this is at 1084 Left Fork Road, in violation of section 2911.11A1 and 2911.11A2 and 2911.11B, a felony of the first degree, the court will sentence you to serve a prison term of 8 years. On count 11, the charge is aggravated burglary involving the premises at 4119 Union Hill Road. Again, the section numbers are 2911.11A1 and A2 and 2911.11B. A felony of the first degree, the court will sentence you to serve a definite prison term of 8 years. On count 12, for the offense of aggravated burglary, the section numbers are the same. This involves the premises at 4077 Union Hill Road, a felony of the first degree. The court will sentence you to serve a prison term of 8 years. On count 13, for aggravated burglary at 3122 Union Hill Road, the section numbers, of course, are the same. Felony of the first degree, the court will sentence you to serve a definite prison term of 8 years. On count 14, unlawful possession of dangerous ordnance, 2923.17A1 of the revised code, a 5th degree felony, the court will sentence you to serve a prison term of 10 months. Count 15, tampering with evidence. This involves phones and cameras, 2921.12A1 and 2921.12B, a felony of the 3rd degree. The court will sentence you to serve a prison term of 24 months. Upon count 16, tampering with evidence involving custody documents, the court will sentence you to serve a prison term of 24 months, and section numbers there are 2921.12A2 and 2921.12B. Again, it's a felony of the 3rd degree. On count 17, for the offense of tampering with evidence involving security, home security system, shell casings, and silencer. 2921.12A1 and 2921.12B of the revised code of felony of the third degree. The court will sentence you to serve a definite term of 24 months. On count 18, for the offense of forgery, 2913.31A1 and A2, and 2913.31C1B. It's a felony of the fifth degree. The court will sentence you to serve a prison term of 10 months. On count 19, unauthorized use of property, 2913.04B and 2913.04G2, I think it is. That's a felony of the fifth degree. The court will sentence you to serve a prison term of 10 months. On count 20, interception of wire, oral, or electronic communications, 2933.52A1 and 2933.52C, a felony of the fourth degree. The court will sentence you to serve a prison term of 12 months. The court is aware that 2929.14B1B provides that except as provided in B1G of the section, the court shall not impose more than one prison term on any offender under B1A for felonies committed as part of the same act or transaction. Now there's an exception stated in 2929.14B1G, and that exception is that if the offender is convicted of or pleads guilty to two or more felonies, if one or more of those felonies are aggravated murder, attempted aggravated murder, aggravated robbery, felonious assault, or rape, and if the offender is convicted or pleads guilty to a firearm specification in connection with two or more of the felonies, the sentencing court shall impose on the offender the prison term specified for the two most serious specifications of which the offender is convicted or to which the offender pleads guilty, and in its discretion may also impose on the offender the prison term specified for any or all of the remaining firearm specifications. Now, based upon the way in which the Ohio Supreme Court has defined in case law same act or transaction, this court finds that the 8 aggravated murders charged in counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 do not constitute the same act or transaction, with different victims involved in all of those as one of the reasons why, but I'm finding that they're not the same act or transaction. And the court will therefore impose a mandatory prison term upon one of the specifications stated for which you've been found guilty with respect to each of those counts, and I'll get into that here in a minute, and for each of those 8 counts of the indictment. The court further finds that although for the purposes of sentencing, in this case, on the specifications, on the firearm specifications, the aggravated burglary charged in count 10 may constitute the same act or transaction as the aggravated murder charged in count 1. Those may be the same act or transaction. But the aggravated burglary charged in count 11 may constitute the same act or transaction as aggravated murder charged in count 4 and the aggravated murder charged in count 5. That's based upon the victims in that residence. And the aggravated burglary charge in count 12 may constitute the same act or transaction as the aggravated murder charge in count 2 and the aggravated murder charge in count 3. And that the aggravated burglary charge in count 13 may constitute the same act or transaction as the aggravated murder charge in count 6, the aggravated murder charge in count 7, and the aggravated murder charge in count 8. Pursuant to section 2929.14B1G, the court shall impose a sentence on the most serious firearm specifications of which the defendant was convicted as to count 10, count 11, count 12, and count 13 as well. Therefore, as to specification 3 to count 1, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 6 years. As to specification 3 to count 2, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 6 years. As to specification 3 to count 3, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 6 years. As to specification 3 to count 4, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 6 years. As to specification 3 to count 5, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 6 years. As to specification 3 to count 6, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 6 years. As to specification 3 to count 7, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 6 years. As to specification 3 to count 8, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 6 years. As to specification 3 to count 10, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 6 years. As to specification 3 to count 11, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 6 years. As to specification 3 to count 12, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 6 years. As to specification 3 to count 13, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 6 years. As to specification 2 to count 14, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 3 years. And as to specification 3 to count 22, the court imposes a mandatory prison term of 6 years, resulting in a total of mandatory prison terms of 81 years for those firearm specifications, which are to be served consecutively to each other and consecutively to and prior to the prison terms imposed for the underlying felonies, and also those prison terms of 81 years are not to be reduced pursuant to any sections of law.
Big thanks to our viewers for joining the courtroom journey with us. Your interest in the stories of justice is what keeps our channel alive.